Good afternoon, Phoenix. How are we doing today? Awesome. You can hear me. So, since we're in a safe space of neurodivergent folks and those who appreciate them, I wanted to take an opportunity to make an autism joke. Bear with me. Here goes. Okay. My girlfriend got mad at me and left a note on the fridge that says, "This isn't working. Goodbye." Okay. I open the fridge and it works just fine. Ah, ah, this side of the room not laughing too much. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Thank you for indulging my sense of humor. So today we're going to spend the next 20 minutes discovering how businesses, both large and small, domestic and abroad, can maximize outcomes for people and profit through the power of neurodiversity, from the boardroom to the mailroom. I'm here to debunk a common notion that neurodiversity and all it encompasses is the future of work. It's not, full stop. I say neurodiversity isn't the future of work, it's the now. So why is this important to you and me? Because organizations around the globe are bleeding value. They just don't know it. Gallup estimates that low employee engagement costs the global economy nearly $9 trillion, or 9% of global domestic product. The Society for Human Resources Management, or SHRM, estimates that it takes 1.5 to 2 times salary to replace each departure. And Attitude magazine reports 20% of employees regularly experience loneliness on the job. So what's the deal? The core problem isn't people, it's inefficient and ineffective systems built on traditional and linear cognitive templates that lead directly to wasted time, wasted talent, and wasted treasure at every level of an organization. So this design flaw erodes innovation pipelines, pushes valued contributors to the exits. The solution is systems change. Neuroinclusion embedded in policies, manager training, and universal supports, so organizations can move from ad hoc accommodations to a scalable engine for creativity and sustainability. So to illustrate how neurodiversity impacts the statistics, I'll share the stories of 6 people at various stages of their career with intersecting demographics and life experiences around the globe from Mexico to Japan. The one thing they have in common, they all use their neurodistinct traits to help generate lasting incomes, not only for themselves, but for the communities around them. First, a supportive housing deal stalled until the capital and services model was rebuilt to reflect residents' round-the-clock needs. That pivot aligned partners and kept rent stable. As a 58-year-old Mexican-American autistic CEO with ADHD and auditory processing differences, Elena performs best with written-first agendas, low-noise rooms, and visual Kanban. Simple, scalable practices any leadership team can standardize. The result? On-time opening, reliable staffing, and a replicable template for neighboring counties. In Lagos, when readmission spiked, a lengthy executive memo was replaced with a 2-minute plan that synchronized same-day placement, transport, and drop-in supports. Teams aligned and returns dropped. As a 39-year-old Nigerian dyslexic mid-level manager who relies on text-to-speech, dashboards, and standardized templates with weekly check-ins at crunch time, these practices remove friction for everyone, not just the individual. The win became the standard operating procedure across the service line. In Osaka, night shift false alarms from smart home sensors plummeted after a new process was co-designed with staff and residents and firmware was updated with quiet alerts, time-based sensitivity, and a shared dashboard. As a 33-year-old Japanese dyspraxic founder, Aiko works best with checklists, task chunking, and ergonomic setups. Low-cost adjustments that boost team quality. Ultimately, the rollout scaled across sites and cut support tickets. In Stockholm, elevator outages were triggering anxiety and repeated service calls. Mapping failures, adding surge protection, and instituting preventative schedules fixed the root cause, while clear signage and a quiet waiting area eased stress. Marcus, a 52-year-old Swedish seasoned worker with Tourette's and OCD, uses predictable shift patterns and photo-based SOPs to maintain quality. All practices that improve everyone's day. Complaints fell and tenant trust rose. In Nairobi, participation doubled when noisy market meetings were moved to a quiet hall, visual agendas were set, and a route stipend was added. Attendance stabilized and insights deepened. As a 35-year-old Kenyan, mid-career autistic program designer, Zainab delivers most effectively with structured days, focus blocks, lighting control, and scent-free policies. Design choices that make public engagement more equitable. The county offered ongoing space after seeing the results. Lastly, in Nova Scotia, partners couldn't use a glare-heavy dashboard, so a rebuild with high contrast palettes, plain language, and user validation surfaced evening coverage gaps and drove staffing towards drop-in hours. Patrick, a 24-year-old Canadian entry-level employee with ADHD, dysgraphia, and Erlin syndrome, uses dark mode, voice to text, and scaffolding writing as his accelerators. Accessible defaults that compress reporting time for everyone, and 3 organizations adopted a toolkit. So these examples show the full power of neurodiversity to achieve impact and outcomes when people are supported to do and be their best at every level of an organization. So what's the financial impact of neurodiversity in the workplace that supports higher profits? The business case is decisive. Neuroinclusive companies report 30% higher margins, 28% higher revenue, and double net income, while lowering costly churn and cutting absenteeism by 81%. A neurocultural focus on workplace belonging adds 56% performance lift, over 50% turnover reduction, and 75% fewer sick days. So we need to think of neuroinclusion as an operating system upgrade that drives both top-line innovation and bottom-line efficiency. Later, I'll translate these gains into concrete practices that you can implement today. So what's the human capital impact that supports happier and healthier people? Neuroinclusion is a workforce reality and a performance lever. With 15 to 20%, depending on who you ask, of the global population identifying as neurodistinct and over 50% of Gen Z identifying as such, organizations that design for different minds see 75% higher engagement, 50% higher productivity, and 70% less stress when psychological safety is prioritized. However, nearly 85% of autistic adults remain unemployed or underemployed, signaling untapped capacity and a mandate for action. Subsequently, by 2027, 20% of the Fortune 500 are projected to actively recruit neurodistinct talent. So these following sections I'll frame around how inclusive design converts engagement into retention and productivity, and how cross-sector collaboration accelerates results for housing, healthcare, universities, and community-based organizations alike. So how do we maximize outcomes through neuroinclusive leadership? A few examples here. Some people you may or may not know. Richard Branson reframed dyslexia as a recognized HR skill and changed behavior at scale. A public online campaign drove over 1,500% surge in positive mentions. Evidence that a signal setting from the top catalyzes practice and change across markets. Dr. Nancy Doyle and Isha Dash both proved how enterprise programs that upskill managers, redesign jobs, and scale accommodations report almost 50% higher performance from thousands of employers annually, showing that structured capability building pays back fast. Executive disclosure from Sir Nick Hine normalizes neuroinclusion and anchors it in environmental and social governance. Leadership advocacy at that level and policy embedding creates organizational level shifts, which combined with publicly visible commitments, sustain momentum over time, creating a durable governance lever. These are quotes from some of the folks that I just mentioned. I'll summarize what they say here. These quotes reinforce that neuroinclusive culture, not charity, drives these results. Meetings are more productive and streamlined. Disclosure accelerates inclusion. Connecting with neurodiverse colleagues builds trust and loyalty. And neuroinclusion is a fundamental change in the people business. So then the question is, how do we build a neuroinclusive, human-centered approach? The data indicate a rising tide of self-identified neurodivergence and escalating requests for adjustments. 40% here domestically and over 60% abroad, making ad hoc responses unsustainable. So the solution is systems level change, upskilling managers, setting explicit communication norms, shifting from one-off fixes to universal supports, broadening ERGs, leveraging AI, which 85% of neurodivergent millennials use, and adopting flexible work, the top retention and productivity driver named by neurodivergent talent. These moves align productivity with equity. So I want to leave you with this thought. Every brain deserves a place to thrive, and when it does, so does your organization. And ultimately, it is our responsibility to move beyond awareness towards action and from compliance to community. My name is Grant Harris, excuse me. I'm founder and president of GTH Consulting, a minority and disability-owned consulting firm. I'm a certified diversity executive, a 3-time published autistic author, an organizational culture specialist, and a corporate board member. And my work is working with leaders and organizations to help them maximize outcomes for people and profit through the power of neurodiversity from the boardroom to the mailroom. My background spans federal agencies, higher education and K-12, global corporations, and small nonprofits. And I've facilitated complex transformations with a focus on human capital, inclusive leadership, and measurable outcomes. I'm a late diagnosed autistic. I was late diagnosed at the age of 38. And ever since then, I've had the opportunity to be a global public speaker and a neurodiversity champion. And I relish the opportunity to be here in front of you today. So my contact information, I'm happy to connect with any of you as we go along. I'll leave it here for a second. You can take the QR code as well. And there was one more, but ooh, I'm glad that this popped up because I wasn't expecting it, but I get to introduce my dear friend, Teresa Thomas. But thank you for advancing neuroinclusion. I appreciate it.